When I started my field placement at Yes Philly, I had entered in through a garage, and I met the security guards, and then I headed up to the school where we entered in a room, and all of our fellow classmates were there. We kind of interacted and networked for a little while until a teacher named Mr. Moore came in, and he asked us to come meet students, and we were able to meet around 10 or 15 students, and we got to interact with them. The first day of field, we got to get to know a small group of students. I was with 2 students for half an hour, which was really great. I got to know a lot about them. I got to ask them really good questions about what they like to do and what they're passionate about. Next, we got into larger groups, so I was with 2 other Westchester students and around 4 Yes Philly students, and then we got to talk about bigger things we were passionate about, projects that we would want to create based on the things we care about, and things like that. Yes Philly as an organization is an alternate school for people that have either been pushed out of their neighborhood school, dropped out, things like that. So it's for students 16 to 22. And yeah, I felt really good about the whole experience. I felt like I got to know my students really well. The second day of field, we kind of went deeper into the topics we care about. One student talked a lot about neighborhood safety and violence, and what he experiences in his neighborhood when he leaves his home, experiencing violence, specifically gun violence and things like that. We talked a lot about gun laws. And then we got to interact with Mr. Moore, the teacher, who kind of shared that every small group in the class kind of came up with similar topics and similar things that we could talk about in our video projects throughout the semester. He had us create roots of problems in Philadelphia, so since ours was gun violence, we kind of created the roots of gun violence in Philadelphia. Well, most of what we did at Yes Philly wasn't exactly new skills. It was just a lot of networking and meeting students and interacting with them. I definitely had new experiences within the school. I think I came in with a preconceived notion that these students had all alike goals, but after talking to them for the half an hour that we had at the beginning of the class, I realized that some of them don't want to go to college and some of them do, and some of them just have a dream of working in a sneaker store, but some of them have dreams of becoming doctors. And I think that it was definitely a bias of my own and a preconceived notion of my own that all of these students would either want to go to college or not want to go to college. Another new thing that I learned within the school was that they've done these video projects before, and they've actually had a full-time media teacher who is Mr. Moore, who I talked about in my first section. That surprised me because I figured that schools of that size, the school is pretty small. It looked like there was only about 60 students that we were regularly seeing throughout the day. Would have a full-time video teacher and would dedicate so much time to media production, whether that be through social media or documentaries or things like that. That definitely struck me. Through the conversations I had with the students about what they cared about, I was really surprised sometimes, and I had a lot of really positive feelings about what they were telling me. One student shared with me on the very first day of class that she actually writes poetry. She shared with me 3 poems that she wrote, and they were really beautiful and really amazing. The second day that we were in field, we got to talk a lot about issues that were close to their heart, and I was really happy about that because we were already building these like safe spaces and just like small communities that the students can trust us in, and I was really happy that the students were beginning to trust us so quickly, to trust us with things that were really personal to them, whether that's happened to them personally or just issues that they care about, issues that are happening in their community. I was really happy that they were beginning to trust us. When I think about the future of our project, I really think of what the project, our personal project is about, which is neighborhood safety. The exercise we did, where we broke down kind of the roots of our problems, so that's neighborhood safety or gun violence and things like that in general, we kind of established that there were roots, and then there were leaves that were stemming off from the issue. So some of our roots were things like poverty or lack of resources or lack of communication in neighborhoods. And then some of the leaves that stemmed off of that were things like drugs or police brutality or things like that. But they all stem from these like common roots that we all came up with. And then in sharing with the class all of our problems, whether it be domestic violence or human trafficking or mental health and things like that, all kind of had really similar roots when we discussed it in terms of Philadelphia. So looking forward, I think that this whatever media project we create, because we kind of have free reign on what we're going to create. It could be a flyer, it could be a presentation on statistics, it could be a video or a mini documentary. My students are talking about creating a music video or doing spoken word with a video. Any of the projects we create, I think, will help students realize that whatever issue they care about and whatever issue is close to their heart, that there's kind of a commonality behind all of this, and that whatever media project they create will have similar themes throughout it because we're all relating it to Philadelphia. I think that looking forward, we definitely need to keep on task more. Sometimes we would get really off task just because we really got along well as a group and we wanted to know our students more, so we would joke around a lot and things like that. But looking forward to when we start creating the media projects, we need to stay on task so we can complete these projects, hit our milestones, so that we can create something good and so that we can be productive members in this project.